Is my microphone? Hey, I have sound.
Oh, sound is good.
It looks like you have sound too. Can
Uh,
people hear us?
Can you
Great.
hear us?
Can you hear me?
Gotta wait for the delay.
Yeah, I know, right?
I was asking the questions and like, nobody even hears us at all at this point. Oh, music loud. Oh, no, you fixed it.
All right, Havoc TV. It's great to have you. I yeah, it's definitely an interesting day. I think we're both a little out of it, but we're excited to have everyone with us today. What are we talking about today? We're talking about the Judge program. We're talking about Feature League. We're just kind of walking through the website a little bit with some of the changes and rambling about random things that are going on.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that's pretty much it. There was something I wanted to talk about when it came to Fred's video that came out. I can't. So I know one thing he mentioned was like how cool it is that we do all these live streams, we do the daily vlog, we do a lot of content, and we're connected with the community so much. Um, this is one of those things I would love for us to keep as a tradition. Do you think it's something we'll be able to keep going forever?
Tradition, like putting the wrong titles on our videos.
Yes. Yes. Oh, YouTube.
Yeah, I don't see why it would be something for us to stop. If anything, it won't always be us. We might have, other people or even more people because it's much better to talk to people when there's more than just two, actually. We've had 3 people on, and the videos, I'm sure, are probably much more entertaining. And we're like, no, the 2 of us.
I think so. What it comes down to when it comes to adding a third person is like having someone who's consistent. I had Lionel, Carl, and JC show up in chats in the past, and I love talking to those guys. But like one day they're here and then I don't see them for 3 weeks, and it's like, oh, all right, now we got to plan our talking points at the last minute. Who can show up? And so that's not as fun.
Steve, the release date is out there. You can find it.
Yes, that's the other thing I want to mention. Why aren't you following Ben Trading Cards? He does so much content around Genesis. Every other video he puts out is about Genesis, but he actually announced the release date. So go watch his video. Hey JC, you're here in spirit. Yeah, I'd love it if you came and did some of these live streams with us. It's been a while. We just need to get you more consistent with them.
For sure.
The other thing I was looking at, so I got this Fate Stay Night mug. I got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles glass. I gotta get some Genesis stuff, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the next big step is like just Genesis mugs all the time.
It's just gonna be the Fate Stay Night character, but you're gonna have the Genesis logo over her head.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, there's been so much content coming out recently. And there's gonna be a lot more content coming out really soon. For people who are watching, we partnered with a whole bunch of people to do the early access kind of box opening stuff for second edition.
Yeah,
it's our biggest marketing campaign we've done, and it was just so overwhelming looking at how many boxes I had to put together and send out. And for every single person, I wrote a handwritten letter, and this was great. I started off writing the first one, and I wrote it. I was so proud of it, and I look at the clock. I'm like, okay, that took me like 30 to 45 minutes to do. I can't do this for 20 boxes. So for everyone else, they got majority of that letter printed as a little slip of paper, and then I would put a little note handwritten. I'm like, I can't do this. There's too many. And then I called Chris, and I was like, all right, next campaign, you and I are gonna have to sit down, and you got to do half of them with me. I can't do them all on my own.
As long as I'm not in there doing the writing, I'm happy with it.
So JC, like, there is a printing companies for that mug. I would not be breaking any kind of copyright laws, would I? What do you mean?
Like, it's clearly parody law.
Yeah. Oh,
if you just make one, you're good.
Yeah. The big thing a lot of times when it comes to these laws and stuff like that, it really comes down to, are you making money off of it?
Yeah.
Because that's where you start encroaching on different laws. And like, Are you hindering someone else's ability to make money on their own IP, and are you making money off of someone else's IP? That's where a
Yeah.
lot of the issues come from. But if you're gonna use any company to just make a one-off mug, I'm gonna give a little sponsorship to printerstudio.ca. I've used them for years now to do a bunch of little things. They're such a great company. Use .ca, not .com. I don't know why. They're American branch. Their product comes whenever I get it, it's never good quality. I'm like, oh, I can't use this company. But then I use .ca and it's always perfect. That's the weirdest thing. All right, enough vamping. Let's get into this. Let's talk about the judge program. So today was really cool. We got our second, I think it was today or yesterday, we got our second application for someone to become a judge for Genesis. And today we actually reviewed the answers and are moving forward with those judges. So I want to throw this to you. And you can insult me as much as you want. Why do you think it took us so long to make the judge program? Why is it important that we released it now?
Well, now I can just ignore that question and just insult you. You said.
Yes, go for it.
So say you're just okay. Okay, repeat the question. Repeat the question.
So, from your perspective, because you haven't been part of the team for a long time, so from an outsider looking in, why do you think it took us so long to release a judge program?
Because you didn't have me.
That's actually a really good answer. That's a really good answer.
And then it ties into the organized play,
Yep.
which is also sort of me running that section. So I think it just ties into organized. It goes with organized play, and I was the one who was in charge of setting up organized play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a big component of it, from my perspective, was we were also just too small.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
our
true.
big championship event, the biggest event we held in the company's history, the payout was $1,000 to top line,
Yeah.
which is, it's not a little bit of money. That is a fair amount of money, but like compared to other games tournaments, it was pretty small.
That's fair. That's fair.
So that was definitely one perspective from my end. Is like, I didn't want to invest too much into a judge program, and one, like, who would even sign up? But then two is also like, who even cares?
I think back in the day, if you had a judge program, I probably would have signed up.
Yeah, there would have been a few people. I know you would have. I know there was a player, Cody, who was really into wanting to become a judge. There were a few people who showed interest, but again, like, our biggest tournament only had 18 participants in it. It's so small. But now I think we're getting to a point where we're growing a lot, and you got people in North America and in Europe wanting to host events, host weekly, host these a bunch of different things. Having a judge program is very important right now.
Yeah, for sure. I agree, because just being in the Discord channel, like whenever you have a new person, they're asking questions. Especially with the way that we've designed Genesis so far, as a lot of the instructions were go online and read or watch a video, trying to push people to see more, which was good because it helps the environment, it was less of a footprint, but it also, a lot of people started filling in the gaps where they didn't necessarily know the right rules, I would say.
Yeah.
until they got to ask a judge Discord or wherever they could, talking to somebody who knew the game. And then they go, oh, that is how this game is played. They always go, I'm going to go play the game again right now.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever watched the video from Yoda's Data out in Germany, and it was their first gameplay video of Genesis, and they got almost all of the rules right, except for they alternated who the starting champion was each round. So they went back and forth with the starting champion. And when I called them out on it, I sent them a message privately, and I was like, "Hey, your video is great. A lot of the rules were correct, um, except for this one rule." And I told them, they were like, "Yeah, we read the rule book. We saw that. We just think it's wrong."
That's perfectly fine. That is honestly,
Yeah, yeah,
that's perfectly fine because that's the whole point of a card game,
yeah,
a game in general.
yes,
It's whatever is what makes it fun for you.
yeah,
Maybe Sid's wrong. Maybe they're right. Maybe we don't know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's one of those things that I find very interesting. There are certain people out there that the moment something's written as a rule, they just they have a visceral reaction about trying to defy it. They just can't. They're like, no, no, this is the rule. This is the way we have to play. The creators of the game know best. And then there are other people out there who are like, well, forget them. Like, I just want to play my game. And if this is the way that's best for me, then that's the way I'm going to play. And I'm like, I respect both of those perspectives as a game
yeah,
designer. I like it when people adhere to the rules I wrote. But as a human being, I'm also like, nah, have fun. It's a game.
yeah.
Like, don't take it super seriously. So, um, yeah, that's definitely a big thing. So,
The game itself is new.
yeah,
It's still there's still lots of time for it to
yeah,
adapt and change.
yeah, that's a big thing. You're so right. When we first released the rules for Forethought in 3.0, and we put it out there, so many people were like, we still hear it. A lot of people hate those rules for Forethoughts. And what I try to explain is the fact that rules don't stay constant. Things change. Every collectible card game I've seen, they they adapt and they change as communities evolve and grow. Even, I mean, I'm trying to think of a bunch of references, and they always come back to Magic. But even okay, here's a good one: StarCraft. Even StarCraft, they change. They would release patches which would update cost or change
Yeah,
the tempo of the game, and that's essentially a rulebook change. They're essentially changing the core fundamentals of how the game operates.
yeah,
And every game should be allowed to do that. If you stay static forever, then people just get bored of it. Even
yeah.
Monopolies change its rules.
That's true. But wargaming literally does it all the time. Like any
Mm-hmm.
wargaming will just make
That's
new
true.
additions.
Yeah.
They'll just change literally everything.
And they're so vastly different from
Yeah,
each release. That's the part that always kind of shocks me. Is like, I remember I was talking to someone. I was like, "Oh, last time I played Warhammer was around this year, yada yada." They're like, "Oh, that edition." Yeah, I never like the game's just so different now. I'm like, but it's called the same thing, and it's like, yeah, it's called the same thing, but it's pretty different. All right, I'm gonna throw the judge page up on screen so people can see it, and we'll navigate through it a little bit. But just as that's loading, give me you know our judge program. You wrote most of our judge program. What is a differentiating factor? What are we doing that's different than some of our competitors?
I think mostly is the connection to both the community and us. We were literally just talking about how the game is young and it needs to grow. This includes rules and judges and all that.
Yeah,
We want our judges to be connected with us, and as they see the rules, we're going to adapt them.
yeah,
So like one of the weirdest rules, and I think we've talked about this recently. I don't know if we talked about it on stream, is the fact that if you're stunned, your opponent can't push you.
yeah,
That's a really weird rule.
yes,
And it's like it thematically doesn't make sense. In the game, it doesn't really make sense. It's just the paralyze is meant for you so that you can't move. It's not really meant for now you're an immovable rod that nobody can
yeah,
touch you. It's like so there's all these weird nuances and
yeah,
rules that we can look at going forward. And with judges, if they're the ones constantly watching games, seeing the issues with people, they're gonna get a lot of insights into that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think something that's also really interesting for me. So I grew up watching the TCGs played at the LGSs. So many acronyms. Card games being played at the stores, and when they're played at the stores, you need a judge there in person. And if the store owner doesn't know the rules to the game very well, then it's really, really hard for them to host the game. The game could be
Yeah.
wildly profitable, but if they don't get a judge or someone from the community who's willing to act as the judge, they can't host a tournament, and that hurts the growth of a game. But
Yeah.
we live in a digital era where we can connect with each other so well. So one thing that I think is really cool is that we are creating a judge server through Discord, which will mean that judges don't have to be physically at a store. But if a store announces, "Hey, I'm hosting a tournament from this time to that time," and a judge like, "Hey, I'll be on Discord throughout that entire time. If you need me, just drop into this voice chat or something like that." That's great. Like that's something that I don't know if anyone else is doing that, but I feel like all the games should have that to some level. I think it's a really cool system.
I think Magic has something like that, and I've never used it.
Yeah.
It's like a website. It's like Ask a Judge thing, but it's not attached to any common site you go to or any platform. So I've literally in all my life never went there.
Yeah. I think having it more seamless, having it in a way that it doesn't interrupt the person's normal life, then it's something that they're going to use much more. That's a big thing that we try to do is be available to our community, to the players, the store owners, to the judges, distributors, whoever. We try to be there as much as possible. And having that instant connection. I remember one time I was in the middle of dinner with my in-laws and getting text messages from a store being like, "Hey, we're just sitting down to play some Genesis. This happened. What do I do?" And I'm like, I have to excuse myself from the table and give that store a call. But I think as a small company, it's something we can do. And as long as we build it into who we are, then we can scale that as we grow.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So loading up, first thing, Judge logo. Mikhail, I love the guy. He did such a great job putting this logo together. So you got the Judge logo there, and then in the background you have the Bolt Shot, the alpha artwork for the Bolt Shot, and that's because Judge promo, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So we have the mission statement of the Judge. Let's ignore that. Move on. Talk about the 4 levels. So I don't know if you saw this in chat, but there was a thing in one of the Discord servers talking about probationary judges. That title being not the greatest title. How do you
Just
feel?
The word. That's the term.
Yeah. For everyone who's watching, how do you feel about it?
Level 0 judges, but
yeah, it is what it is.
That's still not a title either because you're not a judge yet. even maybe probationary judge is technically if you're on probation until you become a judge.
That's fair. That's fair.
But no, I don't have the negative connotation. I can see where it comes from, where you can think of that. Yeah. But it's if you look at it into that one scale, like you think of a probation worker, but probationary is more than just that one thing.
Yeah. And I find that a lot with just English as a whole. There's so many times where I say something and I think it's a great compliment, and then the person's offended. It's like, okay, it just happens. Anyways, so getting to this level, the big key that we're looking at is, can you pass the test? There's a small little quiz at the bottom of this page. You can go to genesisboc.com/judge to be where we're at right now. But you pass the test. You have a local game store that is supporting you in your judge process. And then you're also able to find a judge to mentor you. So those are kind of the big keys. And then once you satisfy all that, you get entry into the Judge Discord server. Now, I was just realizing, for the 2 people who we've asked, who have filled out the survey, they haven't actually filled out a judge who's going to be sponsoring them. That's not part of the quiz. So maybe that's something we need to add.
You just forced that on me.
No, so I already told Will that I'm willing to sponsor him.
Okay.
But at the same time, like, there's really only the 2 head judges, us. So what else can we do? It's gonna be one of us. So this process, the local game store, I think, is a very interesting part of it. what would you say if someone filled out the survey and was like, there's no local game store in my area?
I'd be perfectly fine with it because that just means then we talk to them to see what their goal is, what their plan is about that.
Yeah.
If it makes sense. So like, hey, I want to start hosting Genesis events at a rec center or something like that. And they'll be like, all right, cool. Show us that you can demo a game there. Start there. It's still the same thing. It's sort of that part of that step one is showing us that you can demo. Because you can be like, oh, I want to be a judge. I'm gonna do it at a rec center. Go to rec center and you just, if you have anybody show up, because I don't know what the reach at the rec center is, it's gonna be like, yes, this is Genesis. It's a game.
Do you want to play? Yeah, I think at the end of the day, like, we're always gonna have that one, the individualized conversation with each person who does these tests, because everyone's situation is gonna be a little bit different. And at the end, like, we're too small to be super selective.
Darren had a weird question. Can we take the test and choose not to be a judge?
Sure. Like, if you just want to do it for funsies, go for it. We may reach out to, like, I think one of the questions is, do you want to be a judge?
It is.
So you just say no on that.
On that one question.
Yeah, and then we just won't reach out to you. I think that's perfectly fair. But yeah. So you get access into that server. You're in the server now, and you're like, I want to become a level 1 judge. Here are the steps for that. So you must participate in Future League for 3 months. You must run demos for 3 months at your local game store, or host demos at a convention spanning no less than 3 days. And you must show initiative in answering questions on the judge server. So let's talk about the Future League side. Why do you think Future League ties into the judge process?
Because judging is about all rules going on, and we've talked about how we want the judges to help develop the game and the structure of the game. So they need to know everything essentially that's going on beyond just the basic lines, what's going to be going forward, and they're going to know if somehow there's just a rule breaking thing, if they're paying attention to Future League.
Yeah, that was part of my reasoning, actually. So I asked that question because I literally got asked that question a few days ago, and it was my answer was, part of it is, as a judge, you have to show us that you have a love for the game, not just you just don't want to be a judge for the judge's sake. You don't want to just get promos, but you want to show that you want to see this game grow and succeed in all its levels. Now, what happens if someone really adamantly does not want to be part of Future League?
I'm trying to remember. There is, if they adamantly don't want to be Future League, I don't think that's necessarily a full removal from the judge program. If they're like, hey, I don't want to be spoiled, because there are people who don't want to be spoiled.
Yeah.
And they're like, and I'm in an area that doesn't have a judge, definitely still going to allow them to be a judge.
Yeah.
For sure. But as the judge pool grows, that's when we'll be more stingy about stuff, because we do want those people that want to grow the game.
Yeah. So the two things I get out of this is, one, we're willing to make compromises if as long as you're showing interest in the game, and two, now is the best time to try to become a judge because our bar is the lowest it will ever be. Because that's what happened. I was talking to Steve-O, and I'll give a little plug here. He runs Heads or Tails Gaming in Brantford, and he was saying that after his next championship, he's looking at retiring from playing the game competitively and just wanting to become a judge and growing the community, but he doesn't want to be part of Future League because he feels that idea of spoiling cards that will come out in the future, or he also thinks that being a Future Leaguer gives him too much of an advantage, and he wants to have more of a even playing field against his opponents. Whatever his belief may be, I think, that's fair, and I don't think it's going to be... I see how we say must in all of this. I think we might need to change some of that verbiage, because I don't think it's a must.
Yeah.
Now, I know I'm the one who put this in, so I won't put this question on you, but the equivalency of running demos at a convention for 3 days versus running demos at a local game store for 3 months. My reasoning behind that is I've run demos at a local game store, and unless you have a really great local game store, you will have days where you just don't run a demo at all, and it's
Yeah.
really sad. You'll have other days where you run 15. It's so wild, and it's so unpredictable that I don't want to put that onus on you when it comes to convention, because 3 days at a convention, any convention that's running 3 days, you're gonna have moments where you're just slammed doing demos back to back to back.
Yeah.
It's You'll get your experience out of those 3 days. It is throwing you into the deep end. Uh, I remember, what was my first big convention outside of SkyCon? It was Breakout Con in downtown Toronto. So most of our conventions, we would average out about maybe four to 10 demos a day. Breakout
Mhm.
Con, we did 30 a day. And when I first went to that convention, I think I went by myself because I was like, all other conventions have been so slow. I don't need anyone else with me. And I was just slammed that first day. And then Carl showed up the second day and helped me do demos. But yeah, those conventions, they can really take it out of you. Plus, they're so tiring. And I feel like if you do 3 days, a 3 day convention for us, you earned your keep. Yeah. Um, and now answering questions on the judge server. Uh, I'm I'm a little worried that the judge server is just gonna be quiet for too long. Like,
It's possible, but actually, there probably won't be many questions on the judge server to begin with. Because if this is, I don't know if this is worded right, because it says answering questions on the judge server.
so the judge server is the same as the store server.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you're saying if like the stores ask questions,
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
this is. Okay, okay. Yeah, okay, gotcha. Yeah. Um, I think this will probably be a two-parter because they will still probably need to be connected to the community Discord because there are people that go there asking for questions for judges,
hmm
and that just may be for the judges to just pretty much answer the questions where the questions come from, wherever they may
yeah,
be.
yeah. So we'll see how that kind of goes. I think, again, this is just one of those cases where right now it's going to be easier because there won't be as many questions. But in a few years from now, those servers might get slammed, and then you're just answering questions all the time. So,
Hmm.
again, if you're interested in becoming a judge, now's the right time to do it. All right. So, once you become a level 1 judge, you gain access to the judge meetings and you get exclusive promos. So that promo that you see on screen, that bolt shot, using the alpha beta artwork, it's the probably the last time that artwork will see print.
They are.
But yeah, those are gonna be given out. I think giving them out monthly was too much. So right now the plan is to give them out quarterly, but we'll see how it goes once we start bringing judges in and how that entire
Hmm.
process goes. So that can all change. I just rather scale down than scale up. Right?
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, and then we go to the higher levels. Uh, Going to level 2, you got to host some tournaments. So I had a question about that. Uh,
Mhm.
when it says you have to host a tournament, if your local game store is already hosting weeklies, are you able to tag into those and say, I'm
Yes, you'd be
hosting these?
considered taking them. That's why we connected the judges to a store.
Yeah. And what if that store has multiple judges? Can two judges claim the same event as part of their 10 tournaments?
That's where it gets more awkward. Both of those judges would at that in that instance would have to be the same level. They both have to be level 1 at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be. This just might be just because we're bringing it up now and we're thinking on the fly. You guys are here. You're
Yeah.
seeing real thoughts in action here. Darren just said he clicked on the test. I thought it was like a "Do you know the rules" test. There are some rules questions in there.
Yeah, yeah.
There's personal questions, rules, and stuff like that. Lots of different stuff. I think especially in the beginning, right now, if there was already a judge at level 1 planning to becoming a level 2 judge, most likely we wouldn't be bumping a second judge at that location. Because they would do their test, they would go to professionary, we would then contact the store because they have to put their store in, and be like, hey, there's a second person wanting to be a judge. Do you need 2 judges? Because that would be the next part. And if there's like, no, like this person's there daily being a judge at this moment, then we need to talk to that person who's like, I want to be a judge at this location. If that other judge is level 1, then there's no reason to bring this person on to a level 1 for that specific location for weeklies. However, if that judge is already a level 2 or a head judge at that point, then it's fine because those levels, they're already past that training stages.
Okay.
Right?
So again, it's just like the situation of case by case basis. So we're going to be learning as we go, and as we get to more of these edge cases, we're sort of defining them better in this document, right?
Yeah.
So also, would a judge who is playing the event also gain credit for the promotion condition? That's a great question.
It is a great question. I personally have no problem with a judge playing an event at locals. Because locals is about growing the community, having fun, all that like that. So a judge can indeed play in the event at a locals and still count for his tournaments, the amount of tournaments they need to judge for.
Yeah.
That's just it. Yes. However, if they are at a bigger tournament like a circuit or a championship, which we'll get to, I think, at level 2, but I'm going to start talking about it now. Then we've asked you to be a judge, and you are not being a player at that point as well.
Yeah. I get that question all the time. Can judges actually play in their events? My answer is always, I wouldn't, I'm not going to stop you. Our communities in general, they're growing, but they're still relatively small. If you're at a local game store and you got 3 players and a judge, and it's like, oh, shoot, we can't host this tournament because we only have 3 players. No, the judge just sit in and play. Just play, right?
I played on Sunday. I'm a head judge. I lost terribly, but Steve won. Shout out to Steve. Steve in the chat.
Yeah.
For beating everybody.
I wanted to ask you about that event. We'll talk about it later. But yeah, so I think, hands down, I have no concerns with judges, especially for weeklies, especially as you're growing the community, playing. But as a judge, also make the decision. Be like, okay, we have 10 people playing right now. If I join, we're at 11. Might want to sit out of that event. Like, if you're trying to prevent a bye from happening in the tournament, that's great. Or another reason to sit out is to say you got a brand new player who's still kind of learning the rules. You might want to sit with them and pay them a little bit more attention, and between matches coach them a little bit on what they could have done to help ramp them up. I think overall it's make a judgment call. Fun time. Okay, so the second point to that, you must answer questions on the judge server with few or no errors in your response, showing comprehensive understanding of the rules. I mean, that's pretty.
I think that's probably for all of them.
Well, so I think that there's a lot of nuance that comes from going from demoing to now hosting tournaments.
Yeah.
And once you start hosting tournaments and you start realizing weird edge situations in the game, you start growing to that point where you don't make those mistakes, those edge case mistakes anymore. All right, so what do you get for being level 2 judge? So there's potential for paid judging jobs. That would include circuits, championships, other bigger official tournaments. If you're being paid to judge at the tournament, you're not playing at the tournament. That's not what's happening. I think those are the only 2 major type of events that we've done so far. We might have other in the future, but those are the only ones I can think of right now. And then you gain access to the rule meetings, and you gain access to the banning meetings. So pretty self-explanatory. Is there anything you want to add to that?
No, I don't think so. It's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah.
Now, of course, the conversation about banning is a fun one, and it needs to come with a level of analytics. Don't just assume that you get to a level 2 judge and you're like, Bullshot got to get out of this game. Let's ban Bullshot. No, you got to show like a lot more justification. You're not gonna just get the opportunity to wave the ban hammer. All right, becoming a head judge, you show a commitment to go above and beyond your duties as a judge. So what are some examples that you'd want to see from there?
So if let's just say as we grow, let's just say there's 10 judges. We're gonna say there's 10 judges in the judge pool at the time as we're growing, and 1 out of the 10 is answering every question in the chat. Now maybe this 1 out of 10 doesn't have a life, and maybe that's why they're getting to the questions. But that could be the case. But even if that's the case, they're still answering every single question. If they're the only person to answer question after question after question, if they're going to all the game stores doing demo after demo after demo, and we see that they're doing more than everybody else, we're hopefully, I hope we're not like blind to it, but we notice the effort they're putting in.
Yeah. So from my perspective, I actually see another side to it, which is also, are they creating more when it comes to the environment of Genesis? So things like, are they writing blog posts? Are they putting up deck techs? Are they participating in Meta Mondays? Are they participating in the Future League events? Are they, are they also showing an initiative to coach other judges? Be like, there's a question in the chat, be like, and then ping a probationary judge or a level 1 judge. Be like, hey, you should answer this. Are they doing those additional things and helping us when it comes to getting the word of Genesis out there? So I think those are definitely a bunch of things. I like how we went completely different directions on that. That was
good.
And then the other part is, once you start becoming a head judge, you should always have a probationary judge that you're training. As long as there's a new candidate in the pool, you're working with them and bringing them up to a level 2 judge. And then once they get to a level 2 judge and they're stable, you're bringing another candidate through the pool and helping grow that system. So this is what we talked about earlier. The perks of being a head judge. You have direct communication with the Haunted Castle Gaming Design and Rules team. What does that mean to you? We laugh because I said this exact same thing to Alex about 2 hours ago.
It's pretty simple. I'm amazing, so everybody wants to talk to me. So now you will be able to do that.
So does that mean that once we roll this system out, people can no longer talk to you? Like, Steve, Darren, know that after today's live stream, you're not allowed to talk to Alex anymore.
No, they're allowed to talk to me. I just won't listen.
Yes, because this is direct communication. Communication involves talking and listening. So there's a few ways we're going to approach this. I think we're going to have to wait till we get closer to that point to figure out what the best approach will be. But, there's... we'll see how things kind of grow. There's one approach, which is having one-on-one chats with the head judges on a regular basis. There's also the opportunity of them getting to be able to see more behind-the-scenes stuff of what's happening at Haunted Castle Gaming, being invited to corporate meetings. So there's a lot of different ways we can approach this, but I'm excited to see how that goes.
There's secret awards in that tier that we don't want to advertise them, because then too many people, everybody would be signing up as judges. That's the secret there.
So Steve says it means you both need to learn to put your phones on private past certain times. I have problems with that. My wife will attest to it. Stephen Penn, but I already feel I have that access. That's part of our thing, is that a lot of people have the opportunity to talk to us. But the other side to it is, I know Alex and I are engaging with the community very often, but the game design team is going to grow. The rule team is going to grow. And I think there will be a lot of people who are making very interesting very interesting decisions about the future of the game. But you, as a player, might not have direct communication with them. And as the company grows, so when the company was super small, I told everyone everything. Like, I was an open book. Alex knows this. I would walk into a store and be like, "Hey, here's new artwork that we're working on." Like, I would share everything. And now things are getting more and more private as the company is kind of growing. There's so much stuff about Origins that I want to share with the community, but I'm waiting on it. All right. So I think having that ability to know what's coming up in the upcoming, like, 5 sets, 10 sets, what are mechanics that we're planning to release, and do you, as a judge, see any potential rule issues with those mechanics? Looping you into those kind of conversations early on is going to be critical for the health of the game. And then
Sure.
Darren asks, no sushi. I don't know what you're referring to, but I want sushi now. What's this about? I want sushi. I had sushi a few days ago. It wasn't the best. I wouldn't mind getting some more.
Wasn't the best. I want more.
Yeah, I want more from somewhere else. Let's put it. Actually, no. So normally that restaurant's really great with the sushi. It's just maybe it was like end of the shift or whatever. It wasn't as good as it normally.
Fair.
Anyways,
That's fair.
Darren, sushi. Let's do this. All right. So the judge promos send out to all of them.
I figured it out. Sorry. Level 2 judge to winter ahead judge perks is you get sushi with us.
Ah, yes.
On their bill though. They get to
Yeah. The head judges are paying for it. You get that money back when you work for us at a championship. All right. So the judge test and everything's done there. All right, cool. Yeah, I think the judge program is gonna be really cool, especially as we start growing it. Oh, there we go. We aren't allowed to talk to Alex, so I'm confirming if we are getting sushi again or not. The only reason Darren's friends with you is because of sushi. John, nice, you did your test.
So Darren, are you saying you're not going to go for sushi with Sid now? After he just said he'd go to sushi with you? Is this what you're saying?
Oh, poor Darren. Gonna be like, I'm not writing in the chat anymore. You do pick on me too much. So yeah, judge program. I think there's still a lot of room to iterate and grow, and I think part of it is going to be the people who are truly interested in judge program are going to help us figure out where we're going wrong with the judge program and how to make it better. It's been a continuous process. Everything we do, we always ask the people who are part of the process to give us their input and feedback of how things are going and where we can improve.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anything else you want to talk about when it comes to the judge program?
Darren says, "Wait, Sid, we going for sushi?"
Yeah.
Nope. I'm just excited to see how it grows.
Yeah.
JC just said he did his test. We'll see if he failed the one question that everybody else did. There's one question that has stumped everyone.
Yes.
So much so that I had to go into the rule books and change the rule book.
I don't think that was necessary.
I don't think that was necessary either. Maybe I should put it back just to see if everybody maybe they went to the rule books and that's why they were getting it wrong. That's the thing I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe. I'd be very curious about that. All right, so we still got 15 minutes. We did want to talk a little bit about Future League, so I'll throw that up as well. This artwork behind the word Future League is the sketches for Desk Companion, which I did. I did an entire talk on earlier today, so that's kind of nice. You got the mission statement, how you can participate. The Future League Discord server link is right there. Tabletop Simulator and other testing platform. At the end of the day, it's the testing report that we need you to fill out. and go through. And then we get the promo. So I think some of the common questions that I've heard. So I haven't seen anyone since we released this do any Future League testing reports. I'm wondering, did Future League run last Friday?
It did not.
Okay. So that
I had some people message me, and I passed out.
Well, just remember, if Alex isn't able to participate, that doesn't mean you can't. You can still.
Like I said, they want me, Sid. They need that direct communication with me.
You're removing the perk of being a head judge. Alex. The testing report's pretty straightforward, but the big key about it is what are the cards you tested, and what are your notes around it, and what are the cards you played against, and what are your notes around it. Those are the most important things. Like, we just need to know, not both sides of the conversation, right? Playing with the card, how did it feel, and playing against the card, how does it feel? Because there's certain cards that playing against it, you have such a bad feeling, and you're like, it's this card's so broken, and then the person who played it was like, I spent the entire game trying to figure out how to make this card work, and there was just that one opportunity that made it work, and it was such a good play at that moment. It's like, you know what, that's kind of fair, right? Gabriel got yelled at in the background. And then, I need to get some water here.
So I'll answer some questions. JC said, "Wait, what?" I don't know what that's referring to. Darren said, "I'm doing the test right now. I assume that's because he wants to become a head judge so he can go out to sushi with you, Sid." That's all I can assume.
All right, so the other parts of Future League, we got the reward program. We gave out the light list for the work done in May, and then Guardian of Balance for the work done in June. The work done in July, you're getting Puppet Control. Then the work done in August, you're getting Giant Scorpion. And then the work done in September, you're getting Chrono Walker. Now, the interesting thing about this line of Future League promos is we have many more copies of them than we did previous Future League promos. So there's going to be an opportunity to get multiple copies of these promos, and we're still trying to work it out. But if you have any suggestions, just let us know, and we'll try to implement something. I think that's all I really have to say about the Future League. The other part about it is we changed in the past, like subtly. We just all of a sudden changed the rules on how to get a promo, and I don't think our ability to announce that was very clear. So putting it on the website and make it very clear and explicit, this is how you get the promo, is important. And sending the reports are key, because that gives me the list of the people who have participated in the month. So if you want to get for Puppet Control, we're going to be a little bit more relaxed and probably give it to quite a few people. But if you want that Giant Scorpion promo, make sure you are filling out the report during next month. At least once you find a time to do some testing and you fill out the report accordingly. Anything else?
Alpha artwork. You gotta get that alpha artwork Scorpion.
Yeah, I know. It was printed so few times because it was only ever used in alpha booster packs. Because in beta, we changed the artwork. And all the promo versions of Giant Scorpion, we used the beta artwork. So the alpha artwork Giant Scorpion was only ever used in the alpha booster packs.
Steven says, Patreon, Future League judges. It's like you all want to give away promos as much as possible. It's not that we want to give away promos, but we want to support the people that support us.
Yeah. I think I think you should be not rewarded, but like there should be some sort of recognition of the fact that you're doing so much to make the game successful. It's if just the game designers worked on the game and then we released the product, I truly believe from a QA perspective, the game would be a huge flop. We saw how Alpha was. 70% of the cards in Alpha are just not really playable. And that's what happens when you have a set that's designed by one person and tested by one person, and it goes to market. Like and then you got some cards. Some of those cards are just so broken, like Bolt Shot and Chrono Walker, that it's an Angel that they're just gonna be part of meta for until they cycle out. So I think the best way to have a really solid game is to have the right conversations going on across all the key stakeholders of that game. And that's part of our mission statement for Future League. We believe that all key stakeholders in Genesis should have an opportunity to shape the future of the game. And so I want that. Yeah, you said it right there. The participation and collaboration of everyone who cares about this game. You should have an opportunity to have your voices heard and know that we are hearing you because we're giving you promos in response to it. Now, the judge program promos are the ones I'm a little less excited about. I think a lot of people become judges for the sake of being a judge. But I also know that all of our competitors give out promos for the judges. So I was like, we shouldn't cheat our judges in that regards. But Fusion League promos, I've always been a huge advocate for. And Patreon promos, I did that because you are an investor into the company when you become a Patreon member. You are literally investing into our company to make sure it succeeds. You should get something out of it. It shouldn't just be some nominal gratitude thing. Like, I know a lot of people get excited seeing their name show up on screen when we do our wrap up at the end of the video, but I don't think that's fair for the people who are investing into the company. You should get more than just that. So that's why we do the Patreon promos. All right. That aside, you get a promo, you get a promo, you all get a promo. Yes. All right, and then the last thing we want to talk about very briefly is our support section that's now on the website. So there's a few things that we kind of want to talk about. I think so. We've already announced to quite a few people, and we've made it clear that foils are coming out in second edition, but for the foils that are in second edition, they are for quite a few of the ones I've seen do curl, and that's an issue, and we know why. It's actually it was something beyond our control, and it was unfortunate, but it spurred us to launch a customer support part of our website, and we're going to be working on finding a way to help and work with everyone who has not just their foils curl on them, but any other issue with your Genesis product. So it's interesting talking about this because I feel like I have to be very political. Alex, you talk about it. What should I be saying here?
We'll make it right. I don't know. Yes.
Stuff happens.
We'll do it for you.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, stuff happens. We're human. We make mistakes. And when that happens, give us the opportunity to rectify that mistake. That's all we ask. Before you you give up on us, you give us a chance to try to fix the mistakes we've made. Because that's the best we can do, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I think the big things I want to talk about when it came to the website. Is there anything else that
Darren asked if his name will be on screen as a Patreon member?
I don't. You know what? Let me add you in right now.
No, don't worry. Don't worry. I said I got it. Look at that. Special Patreon member.
I love it.
Narad, because it's a camera, so it's reverse.
I love it. I need to go and update the list of all the people who are getting their names, but I usually update it at the beginning of the month. So if you subscribe sometime during July, then it won't show up until the beginning of August. So next week's, but it will show up there, which is it's fun. And I think we've been seeing a lot of cool responses from communities across, especially in the States. There's been a lot of good responses to Genesis. And oh, I should also, while I have some people's attention right now, is talk about the issue that happened with Steve-O's Facebook account. So Steve-O, who runs Heads or Tails Gaming, he had his personal Facebook account hacked. The hackers changed the email and password and phone number and everything, so he couldn't go back in and fix anything. And this all in all just sucks and is terrible. But the thing that really irks me is that the entire time that this happened, he was terrified that one of his patrons or would get scammed from this hacker, and would be asked to send money even though it's not really Steve-O, and like never get the product, whatever the situation. He was terrified that this would happen, and it did happen, and it happened to a Genesis player, and that really hurt. I think it's terrible that this happened. So I, all in all, when you are interacting with any store or anyone online, make sure, try to verify it as best as you can. Don't just send money through PayPal. Make sure you are sending it through a e-commerce site, instead of just directly to someone's PayPal account. Or if you are, make sure you actually talk to them over the phone or visit their store in person. Uh, I it hurts me so much that it happened to a Genesis player. Like, it sucks. It sucks. So, just be aware of that. I did make a post about this entire thing, but not everyone who watches is on our Facebook. So, in case you are considering reaching out to any store about that, just also if you're working with them on their actual e-commerce platform, so they're using Crystal Commerce or TCG Player or something like that, you're probably on the safer end when it comes to all that. Just be careful in sending money over online at all. It feels so
Just
weird.
send money to me. Just send all the money to me. I won't scam you, but I'll just take your money if you send it to me. Just give it to me.
It's
not
so
a scam
bad.
if you're just sending it to me. I am accepting it.
Yeah, I think that's everything. I mentioned it in my vlog today, but I think we'll be launching the card list for second edition after the marketing campaign has started for it, and we start seeing people do some box openings. Because at that point, you'll see every single card that comes out in the set. So, we'll release the card list after the first box opening video goes up. All right, I think that's it. Let's wrap this up. I'm gonna throw up the closing screen. Is there any last announcements you want to make? As people are so
not yet. No, I'm good.
No. All right. I guess that's it for tonight. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you again next week. Oh, I do have one more. My Friday live stream. I always forget about this. I'm just doing deck building. I'm gonna open up 6 packs of second edition and do some sealed deck building and talk through my process. So if you want to join me for some deck building stuff, I'll be doing that on Friday. All right. That's it. Bye.
Bye.